So we went through a number of steps, and step one was this. You can do this yourself. I would recommend getting someone in to do it, because what happens is you will get the issues eventually out on the table, but the meeting and the planning thing gets diverted on unimportant things. You need someone who's external, who's able to bring it all together, so someone's suggestion doesn't get buried and no one's interested. It actually gets taken care of. Now, I was then running a youth group in a church I was involved in, and you always got to have new things, and you need to find out what kids, teenagers are thinking. And I don't know about you, when you run, they're never going to tell you. So I actually took an abbreviated version of this idea and actually ran this session. I said, what I want you to do is think about, and I gave them magazines. We didn't use magazines in this other session, but I gave them magazines and a whole range of motor, new idea, all those things. I want you to go through and rip out pictures or words that describe what you'd like to be doing when you leave school. Which was good because, some girls wanted to be in the fashion industry, someone wanted to be in cosmetics, others, wanted to travel. Guys, wanted to sell cars or do this or that. So they ripped out all this stuff. Then I said, I want you to rip out things in these magazines. They had a pile of them, and they were a bit worried at first that they were destroying the magazines. I said, don't worry about that. We're going to throw them all out. So you can rip these things to shreds. I want you to pull out, what are some of the things you would like to own or do outside, your vision as well? And because the guys ripping out these, nice, expensive cars, wanted to travel. Some of them just wanted a mobile phone, because then most of them, you didn't have mobile phones like they do today. So from all that, I've got to tell you, we then went through the session where they put them all on the floor. I said, now paint a picture on the floor, put all the pictures together in words, and now explain to the rest of the group. So we went around, we took time, and they all explained. Everyone in the group started to learn what everyone else was interested in doing. I learned a phenomenal amount of stuff through this that helped me future weeks in talks and stuff I did. But from this was probably the best session we'd ever had as a group, because they all opened up, they were involved in things. Now, when you start to do that with your own people in your business, you can do it with magazines as well, but what happened is, step one, this moderator, we had all the key people, the directors, who were working directors, and a few other key people, and he gave us all little cards, those little file cards about this big with marker pens, and we had to write on 10 cards. Before we got to that, there was step one. We had to start working on the vision and mission, because all of us had different ideas of where we thought the business should be and what we wanted to be as a business. So that took a fair bit of work. We actually had a full day session, because it took us half a day to agree together what the vision should be. I was starting in my own mind thinking what that is, but I needed them to come around to that, because we've got to have the key people all together in agreement. So we came up with the vision mission. Then the step two for us was, what are the barriers? So he then gave us these cards, and we had to write down 10 barriers, one on each card, to achieving the vision. What are the barriers that we think in our company? Could be people, could be systems, could be money, it could be location of where the office is, could be wrong clients, wrong attitude, could be anything. So we wrote them out. Then we had to go through those cards and pull aside the 5 least important cards. Once we've done that, we then got in groups of 3, and we started to talk about our 5. And the group together then had to bring it down to 10. What were the 10 out of the 15 amongst the 3 people that were really key? Once that was determined, with the cards, you got on the table, you can move them around and discuss and debate and argue and so on. And then you finally agree on that 10, because what you're starting to do is focus on the real issues of the company. And then on the wall, we had blue tack. And on the wall, we started to put, okay, what's the first one from a group? So they brought up a card. Oh, that's a people issue, so let's start there. We had a blank card, and we wrote people up the top. So we put that under people. The next one might have been a systems, the next one a people, so we put that there. What happened is there were about 5, actually it started with about 10 categories, but when you actually worked it through, it came down to about 5 or 6 categories of issues that we had to deal with. And then you started to work through the cards and realise some of them are duplication, so you take them out because they're actually saying the same thing. And you're doing this, not the moderator's just leading through the process. So it's your plan, your work. So we came up with the barriers that were affecting achieving that vision. Now, we left it there. He then, the next day, took the accounts department away and said, here is the vision and mission that the company wants to go forward in the next 5 years. And, you know, I wasn't there because none of the people in the leadership team were there. He just, because they would have clammed up. And he started to work through the same process. You know, the accounts department, in the end, you know what their major issue was to achieving the vision? They didn't have a fax machine in their department. It's a bugbear for them. It was complicating the process. They were losing documents. They had to run 3 floors up to get it. Then no one couldn't find it, and they'd have to do it again, and so on. That was their bugbear. The second one was that they were giving invoices out to people to approve and never getting them back. So to them, you know, the vision was a dream, you know, but the issues facing them to achieve that came out. So we then did that with accounts, with creative, with the PAs, all separately. This guy pulled all this together. Then we came back in the final step. I'll put here step 3, which was by department. Then step 4. We then got together as the key people, re-looked at our vision, just in case we're still happy, wanted to change a word or anything, because this is the leadership team of where it's going to come from. And then he started to take us through all these things, the barriers that each of the departments. I said to our guys, well, firstly, let's get a fax machine for the accounts department. And, you know, let's start working on the practical stuff before we go and present back to the whole company. And by the time we got to go back as the whole company together to present the vision and where we're going forward, most of the little bits that were bugbears for each department we had dealt with already because they were simple things. You see, in their mind, the vision is a reality because you've solved my problem. See, sometimes we think the problem in a department is a major thing when it's only a little thing. It's a major for them. It's not a major for us, but we can actually deal with that issue. But the beauty was they were brought through the process. So when you come back and present the whole thing, they feel they're part of that journey and they have contributed. You have listened to them, you have taken action, or you're going to take action. So once we put up what were the key barriers, we just decided to address as many as possible. Some were more long-term. We then worked out what actions needed to be taken under each of the categories, by who, and by when. You see, when you've got a list of actions, everyone panics because they've all got to be done today. Well, they don't. When you start putting a date up against each one of those, only one has to be done this week, maybe one next week, one in 3 months' time, and some don't need to be done for 12 months. What you start to do is prioritise.